Listeners, NerdWallet wants you to let them do the work for you. Looking for auto insurance? The Nerds will match you with top providers in your area in just a few questions. So getting the right rate for you is as simple as going to nerdwallet.com. After all, letting NerdWallet do the work is more than smart. It's genius. Not all applicants will qualify for the lowest monthly payments. NerdWallet Insurance Services Incorporated. California resident license number OK92033. DirecTV is a better way to watch whatever you want to watch. We all know the frustration and confusion that comes from endlessly scrolling, trying to find your favorite shows. DirecTV brings together your live TV and apps into one home screen, helping you avoid the hassle of plugging in passwords again and again or wasting time searching for what to watch across platforms. With DirecTV, you spend more time watching and less time searching for your show. Sign up for DirecTV today at directtv.com.
The way you develop growth capacity is by growing. It's just like going to the gym with muscles and physical fitness. And so growth, personal growth and development has to be intentional, but I can tell you it is the greatest payoff you will have tomorrow is that you intentionally grow today.
Hey guys, it's Rach. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. And I have a favor, which sounds kind of harsh if we just met, but I'm assuming that most of you have been a part of this community for a hot minute. And so I gotta ask, are you subscribed to the podcast? Subscribing to the podcast you listen to regularly is one of the best things that you can do for hosts like me. It helps to support the show and the staff that works on it. It ensures that you never miss an episode when we drop a new one. And here's the cool thing about subscribing. If you do it and then you hate this show, just unsubscribe. It's one click away. In the meantime, if you're listening, we would so appreciate it if you would just tap that button and make it official. Guys, I'm so pumped about today's conversation because we're talking about something that is foundational to success in every area of your life: leadership. And not just any leadership, but the new rules of leadership, the mindsets, habits, and strategies that will help you grow into the best version of yourself and lead others in a way that truly makes an impact. I have some absolute incredible masterminds in this mastermind session. First up, John Maxwell, the ultimate leadership guru. He literally wrote the book on leadership, which you should read if you haven't yet. We're also going to hear from Sheila Johnson. She's the co-founder of BET and the first Black female billionaire. So much wisdom in this conversation. We're also going to hear from Chris Hogan. Chris is one of the best teachers on the subject I've met over the last 10 years of doing this work. And finally, Greg McKeown, author of Essentialism. He's going to talk about why focus truly matters so you can lead with intention and avoid burnout. This is a powerful mastermind conversation, so grab a notebook.
I try to do things that no one else is doing. Okay?
Okay.
It has to be an original idea. I'm not a copycat person. Now, people want to copy after me, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I want to do things that are unique, that are authentic, that really are going to move the needle and make a social impact.
Yeah.
And so many people don't understand how to do that. Not only that, I can't do it alone. I have a trustworthy group of people around me. Our film festival is run by 3 women, me, my chief of staff, and our director. We're really 4, and Connie White, Susan Koch, Connie White. Connie's responsible for getting movies into all the theaters across the country, but she has now joined up with us, and she's able to identify and goes to all of the festivals to help identify what movies we need to have at our film festival. We got the state of Virginia behind us. I mean, we have been able to really layer and protect ourselves, whether it's a film festival or whether it's the family reunion. We get great sponsors because we're able to really communicate our mission. And I think so many people don't understand. You just can't come up with an idea without understanding how to communicate it, to really state your case. Because you can come up with all kinds of ideas. And I have so many people that come to me, well, this is my idea, and I just want to tell them, don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want to burst their bubble. And they're going, well, what should I do? I said, well, you got to put together a business proposal, and you got to, do a feasibility study. Well, how do I do that? I'm like,
Right.
I don't have the time to sit with you, but you've got to start thinking this out.
Yeah.
It's just not an overnight thing, and think you're going to not make sacrifices. And the other thing is, so many women do not understand, if they want to start a business, they got to make sure that they have the support of family, all the friends around them, and they've got to be able to make the sacrifices with them. If they're not able to do that, it isn't going to work. That's when marriages fall apart, families fall apart. They have to buy into the vision. Well, that's the decision you have to make.
Yeah.
If you're very passionate about where you want to go and what you want to do, the partner may have to step aside.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And with all this, and I will tell you, and I think some women who are able to get rid of the toxicity in their life, that there's more and more doors that open. So what also happened in my life, which women don't get the chance to, is I became team owners. And this was the case.
WNBA or?
I have the WNBA, the NBA, and the NHL.
Okay.
And this was the case where, another lesson in life, never burn your bridges. I don't care what you're going through.
Okay, tell us the story.
But there was a great man, he's passed away now, Abe Poland, who owned all the teams. He then decided to sell. He was getting older and he had some health issues. He sold the hockey team to Ted Leonsis. Ted then was able to make a deal with Abe that once he passed, he had first right of refusal of the Wizards. Abe came to me because I guess I can't speak for Ted on this one. This part I've never asked him, did he really want to keep the WNBA team? So it was offered to me. So Abe Poland says, would you like to buy the WNBA teams, Washington Mystics? And I said, why? He says, why not you? He says, we know each other. I have so much respect for you. And I said, well, let me think about that. But you know what went off in my head? Holy shit.
Cool.
As a woman, I get a foot in the door here. I remember getting in the car. He says, let me know. And he says, this is highly confidential. Of course, I get on the phone. I call my lawyer. And I said, Sandy, I've just been offered a basketball team. And he says, Sheila, don't do it. Don't do it. He says, they don't make money. I said, but if you had been offered, what would you do? And he was quiet. I said, you just answered my question. I said, I'll be in your office in 15 minutes. I want you to get Ted on the phone because I have a better offer. So we got Ted on the phone, and I said, Ted, I want to buy into, it was called Lincoln Holdings at the time. I want to buy into Lincoln Holdings. I know the history here. And I said, but you can get a twofer, a woman and an African American. There's nobody else in this country, in their leagues, that can boast that.
Yep.
And he's so cute because I remember we took the Wizards to London and he's on the stage talking about team ownership and I'm in the front row. And he says, and there's my partner down there. She's African American and a woman. He was so, I said, oh, this is perfect.
Oh my God.
He is just the best.
Wow.
To let me in there. And he goes, I love the idea. And so I'm vice chairman of Monumental Sports, and Ted and I, we work very closely together. And, my job is to really support women in sports. So ever since then, and once I got rid of all the toxicity in my life, my WNBA team won a national championship. Our hockey team won the Stanley Cup. So we just get the Wizards on board. But this has been so much fun. It's all about leadership and how you're going to communicate your vision of how you want either your company or your team to succeed. And you have to understand, and this is one thing I've learned in sports, if you get one bad egg in the locker room, you're doomed. I don't care if you have the best coach,
Yeah.
the best basketball operations. You get one bad player that's going to really upset the chemistry. And
Yeah,
this
it's like a
happens in
cancer.
business
Yeah.
too.
Yep.
And as a leader, you got to be able to make this decision. Do you get rid of that bad egg?
Mm-hmm.
And I have a formula. I give them enough rope till they hang themselves, or you hire slowly and fire
quickly.
fast.
Yep.
And that's what you
so
do.
Real.
So there's things that I've learned from BET, and it's really the leadership and the value system that you have got to really establish within your company. If you can't establish that, something's wrong. I want honesty. I want authenticity. I want respect, and I want passion. That's how I run my company. And the salamander stands for perseverance, courage, and fortitude. Well, in the hospitality business, I know that it takes 3 to 5 years to start seeing a profit. Now, some people don't have that kind of patience, but you also have to be able to figure out very carefully as you're budgeting everything and making sure you're working within the budget that you're going to be able to survive that 3 and 5 years before. And you can start seeing it starting to turn just before the 5th year starts. And since then, it's been great.
Yeah.
But
so few people will ever get to the 5-year mark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know with team ownership, you don't make money until you sell it. But then sometimes, you get investors into the team that help you make a little bit of money. You're able to see some things back. You learn how to invest your money wisely. It becomes like a really funny game. But I still feel that insecurity. And when I found my mother on the floor and not having money, do you know I have like 15 piggy banks? Still with money in them.
Oh, man.
I got to give it a name. I don't know what this obsession is, but I know it stems back to the insecurities of not having anything as I was growing up. I can go back to scrubbing floors. I can flip pancakes or whatever I have to do. And even in my hotels, when we're super busy, I help bus tables. And they go, oh, don't do that. I said, no, you're overwhelmed. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
No job is below me. No job. And then my employees, they look at it, they respect me for that.
Yeah, that's rad.
And that's what's really important. Every one of my employees, I value them all the way down to the women and men that make up the rooms.
Yeah.
They all have a name.
Yeah.
They all have an identity. And I do value them. We just celebrated our 10th anniversary for the resort, and we had a big party with all the employees. We celebrate when we get our Forbes Awards, our 5-star AAA awards. Those are successes that everybody can relate to within the company because they all help me get there.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that they're valued. We celebrate Christmas with them. We do raffles. We give away TV sets. We do whatever we can to help our employees feel valued.
I have the New Balance 1080s in 2 different colors. I've got the sort of minty green moment, and I've got the white moment because, you need it for the outfit. The New Balance 1080 is the ultimate daily trainer, combining reliable comfort with top-tier performance. Whether you're logging miles or running errands, the 1080 seamlessly transitions from the coffee shop to the grocery store, offering versatility from everything from everyday to race day. The New Balance 1080 midsoles offer cushion support, and I mean it, you guys. It's like bouncing on top of a cloud. Featuring a lightweight and breathable mesh upper, the New Balance 1080 keeps your feet cool and fresh throughout every run. Shop the 1080 at newbalance.com. It's 2025, guys. And if you are busy, you're working, you're trying to make great choices for your life, your health, your family, you've got to start using Thrive Market. Thrive Market's products are 100% non-GMO and free from over 1,000 harmful ingredients. So when you're shopping on Thrive, you know that anything you find is going to be good for you and your family. Plus, you can scan a product you're used to buying, something that's in your pantry right now, and the Healthy Swap scanner will instantly recommend cleaner, healthier alternatives. The best part about Thrive, I think, is that you put things on a subscription. So when the pantry starts getting low, all of a sudden in the mail is everything you need to restock for school lunches and after school snacks. It is the best. Ready for a junk-free start to 2025? Head to thrivemarket.com/Rach and you get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/Rach. thrivemarket.com/Rach.
We've all had a leader or a boss, that you said, okay, I don't ever want to be like that person. Right? I want to care for my people. And so we've all made the mistake of maybe caring so much that we still didn't communicate. And I think it's the communication factor. Meaning, I've got people here that I hang out with and do things with, and we're friends, but we still know there's a business relationship here.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a matter of us internally setting the ground rules. For example, when you're hanging out, great, we're hanging out. But at work, you want people to understand, I got to put on my leader hat.
Yeah.
I've got to put on the CEO hat. And when I'm wearing that CEO hat, you need to understand, we're not being buddies. I'm being CEO. And if you have mature people working with you that have the ability to not also to put on their leader hat or their worker hat or whatever, then I think it's a whole lot easier for everybody to be on the same page. Mm-hmm. But regardless, I would rather the leader err on the side of being absolutely clear. Like, I feel like it's to be unclear is unkind as a leader.
Yes.
I'll say it again. To be unclear is unkind as a leader. So what we have to do is make sure we're telling people the expectations. Like, I'm amazed how people are worried about conflict. Like, leaders will avoid it. Like, if someone's showing up late, which is one of my pet peeves, right? If you don't talk about it, but you walk around mad about it, mm-hmm. and you have silent anger, silent anger is dangerous for leaders. Oh, it'll eat away at trust and it'll eat away at loyalty because you're going to retaliate at that person in some way at some point. So as opposed to walking around holding it in and then going home and being mad at your spouse or mad at your kid because you didn't tell this person at work what they need to fix, let's go the other route. You don't have to, listen, conflict can get dealt with without everybody getting mad, right? If someone's late, here's what you do. You bring them in, you sit down, and you say, hey, John, you're doing a great job. I love the work you're doing, but you're showing up late. And that needs to stop. Because when you show up late, you're saying you don't respect the team and you don't respect me. So I like you. I like your performance. I want you to stay, but I want this late mindset, this lazy mindset or late thing, that has to go. And I'm being real clear. I want the person. I like the person. This behavior needs to go.
Yeah.
And I think if we more direct than just that communication and letting people know, you get a chance to be clear, you get a chance to be on the same page, and John gets a chance to change or not change the behavior. But moving forward, he knows showing up late isn't an option. And so after the second time of talking about it, I'm going to tell John, we have talked about this a couple times. I like you, I like your performance. But this is the last conversation I'm going to have with you about being late. Okay, this is it. And so I need you to know this so you can be aware and you can make some changes. See, John comes out of that conversation knowing clearly, right, the deal. I think when you don't do that with people and you hold the grudge or you end up being retaliating in some other way, it's not being fair. So I want leaders to be more direct. Notice I didn't get all riled up talking to John. I was just clear and direct. When you're allowing someone else to hang around who's not ringing the bell of excellence or isn't giving the effort that everyone else is, that has to be addressed frequently and often. And meaning, having the conversation, more importantly, I want to make sure as a leader that I'm not failing that person. Meaning, am I giving them the tools, the guidance, the mentoring that they need to raise their performance? And am I also leaning in on and pressing in on the behavior or the performance that's not where it needs to be? So it needs to be talked about and discussed, and there needs to be some guidance around this individual. Don't just leave them off on their own to just kind of whittle away or just hang out. See, I'm going to address that, and I want to make sure that we're correcting it. I think the reality is this. What you want to do is always the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So if someone's not performing well, we need to figure out what that is. And I call it's one of two things. They're either unable or unwilling, right? Now, the unable means that they don't have the skill set, or we need to polish or give them something so they can get better. Someone that's unwilling means now that that's an effort thing. They're not given the effort. So when it's time to address these issues, I'm going to address it, and we're going to talk about it, and I'm not going to let it slide. You know, there are leaders out there. We do what's called a 90-day plan. Mm-hmm. If someone's not performing well, they're on a 90-day plan. We don't give it to them on one day and check in on day 90. No. No, we're giving them that on day one, but we're also following up on day 3, day 5. We're leaning in on it, because if someone's unwilling, we didn't need to take 90 days for us to figure that out. And I've always viewed it as this: if someone's not ringing the bell of excellence here or anywhere else, they need to go somewhere else where they can.
Yes.
And when you there, they may not have the courage to leave. So we may have to help people find that courage. And I'm going to tell you, I've heard from people that have ended up leaving, whether it was working with me or someone else, and they went and found what they were meant to do, or something they were better suited to do, and they're doing well. So I think it's all a matter in us as leaders of being clear, being direct, but also being kind. And when you do that, you give people an opportunity to save face. You also have an opportunity to be a generous leader, because when you let them go, you did it the right way, and you're not talking about them behind their back and all this. Any conversation is direct with them, and they're able to move forward and move on with their life. I think it's also, as a leader, being connected enough with people. And really, it starts on the front end, Rachel. It starts with hiring the right caliber of people, mm-hmm. right? And so many leaders out there will get in a rush, and we look to hire a body. And the next thing you know is, guess what? You got a body just hanging out, taking a paycheck and not really performing.
Yes.
So I think it starts on the front end. The other side of it is I need to make sure that I'm clear in my expectations, meaning we call them KRAs, key results areas. These are the areas people have to focus on in their job, and they know exactly how they're going to be gauged and judged on performance. So again, goes back to clearly defined expectations. But you're going to have times where you have someone that either, A, the company morphs or the position becomes more than what this person is able to do. I always want to think, what can we do to help this person step it up to do it? Is it education? Is it training? Is it mentoring? What is it? But once you do that, if you've done those things, and this person, there's not another seat on the bus for him, or there's not another place, and you've kind of moved on, or they've regressed, whatever it is, I want to be able to go directly into that situation, have the conversations frequently and often, so this person is able to understand, hey, this is the expectation, this is what you need to do, this is what is not being done. Something's going to have to change. Mm-hmm. Either your performance is going to have to raise up, or you may need to move on to something else. The season here may be done. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I would just, as a leader, encourage people to be open, honest, and direct with people, but give them a chance to turn it around. Give them a chance to step it up. And if you do that, then you've treated them like you'd want to be treated. What I don't like are the surprise attacks, right? Yeah. When leaders don't tell someone, and now all of a sudden within a week, they're totally frustrated with them. Well, that's your fault as a leader, because you were frustrated 2 months ago. You just didn't verbalize it. So let's be open and honest with people and let them know so they can try to turn it around. I like the fact that you are taking the responsibility, you're taking the blame, and you're letting your team know that. You see, when you do that, what you're saying is that we're in this together. Mm-hmm. And that's true. What people want. People want to belong. You know, people have 3 needs. They want to be appreciated, they want to be recognized, and they want to belong. And so I think you doing that sends a message to the team that, hey, we're in this together. And I'm going to tell you, I've spent a lot of time out in corporate America. There's a name for a leader that takes all the credit. right? There's a name for a leader that takes all the good things and they take all the credit. It's called a thief, right? That's a thief. You're stealing away from an opportunity to grow your team and acknowledge your team because you're worried about you getting all the attention. That's ridiculous. As a servant leader, you want to be the opposite. You want to give the credit to your team, praise them, and you kind of be behind the scenes, even if you're out front. And I think that communicates that loyalty side. You know, every leader wants loyalty. I don't care what you can, they don't know how to mention it all the time, but every leader wants people that are going to be committed to the mission of the business and to have their back. Every leader wants that. Well, guess what? The best way to get that is to be that.
Yes.
You to have people, you to be able to support people and look out for them, and letting them know that they matter to you. And just doing those things day in and day out. And so I like what you're doing is you're creating an environment of people that have this we mentality. And that thing is huge because they'll go into battle for you. They'll follow you anywhere. Why? Because you've been trustworthy.
Absolutely.
And then you're worthy of trust and they're going to give it in return.
Every day, thousands of Comcast engineers and technologists create connectivity solutions that change the way we work, live, and play. Like Kunle, a Comcast engineer who is focused on revolutionizing the in-home Wi-Fi experience today and for the next generation. Learn more at ComcastCorporation.com/Wi-Fi.
The Rachel Hollis Podcast is proudly sponsored by Amica Insurance. As Amica says, empathy is our best policy. That's why they'll go above and beyond to tailor your insurance coverage to best fit your needs. Whether you're on the road, at home, or traveling along life's journey, their friendly and knowledgeable representatives will work with you to ensure that you have the right coverage in place. Amica will provide you with peace of mind. Go to amica.com to get a quote today.
You've got to start with the premise, which is that not everything is created equal. So you've got to kick out this old idea. The harder part of becoming an essentialist, I think, is realizing how non-essentialist our current thinking is, the outside culture, and also just our internal paradigm is so non-essentialist, because this is the basic premise of non-essentialism is that everything is approximately of equal value. I just have to do it all. I have to do everything. So you're trying to do everything, but and you feel overwhelmed from the second you wake up in the morning, and you know that feeling when it all rushes at you. C.S. Lewis described that as like rushing at you like wild animals, just coming at you. And so that's all the burden, the overwhelm. Oh, there's so much to do. And in that moment, it's like you have to push it off and say, no, it's not all of equal value. It's not. I got to push that back, all that noise, all those voices, so that I can hear that other voice, that quieter voice, that sense of internal direction that in my own life seems to know intuitively that only a few things really matter today. And those few things, if I do them, are so disproportionately valuable, they will change everything else. They are game-changing things, especially if I do this habitually, over years. Push off all that non-essential noise, all that stuff that's coming at you. What really matters? And so I think that in that little moment, multiply that through years. That's what my wife and I have always been about. That was one of the unique things that drew us to each other in the beginning, was a dual conviction that to discern and follow that voice of conscience was so much more valuable than doing 100 other things. In fact, we see it that I would even describe it as it's a mindset, but it's also a skill set. That skill set is like basically the essential job of parenting, because what we want is to inculcate that way of making decisions into our children, or at least remove all the obstacles, all the non-essential voices and junk and noise, so that they can start to hear it themselves and then be led by it. Because if you do that, then the job of parenting is done. Our job of guidance and nurturing and leading. No, the leading is coming from within now. They're leading, they're guiding, they're able to make decisions. They can become essentialists in their own right. And so to us, that's the core, the very essence of essentialism is really that. And so our highest priority in life, both as parents, but also as individuals, everybody listening to this, the highest priority is to protect the ability to prioritize, meaning to protect, nurture, educate that voice of conscience so that it can be the guiding force rather than just what everybody else is doing and a fear of missing out and all the noise on social media and all the latest headlines in news and all of that, those voices. You get to push all of that out and be led by something different. You could choose what you just talked about, but I want to get a little more specific. What is something right now that is essential to you that you think you're underinvesting in?
Rest.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And what would that rest look like for you? Like, help describe. I mean, I know what rest means, but I would like you to try to give me it in like concrete terms. Is it taking it every day? Is it sleeping more? Is it relaxing? Like what is the rest that you think, man, if I just did that, it would make such a difference? Your strategy has been be out of balance in one period of time so that I can be in balance over a longer period of time.
1,000,000%. Yeah.
And it sounds like, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think it probably is that's worked. Maybe it's not been perfect, but it's like there's an equilibrium to that, and it works, and this is how you've dealt with this need.
Yes.
I love how honest you are about how hard you've been working over these last few weeks, because I think for some people, they must feel a bit like, oh, I got nothing to do. And that people certainly seem to talk like that right now. Oh, yes, everyone's just going to be sitting at home, not knowing what to do. And I'm like, I haven't talked to anyone who's doing that.
Yeah.
They're trying to do the same as before under weirder circumstances. So
exactly right.
So, okay. So what we're really up against is designing a new system for you that works in the normal day, not just saved up for vacation, because who knows how long it is before you can have a typical vacation again. Yes?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So let's try and identify what success would look like for you. Not how do we do it, just what would it look like? Let's just paint it for a second. What is it? What I was saying, is it nap a day, get a certain number of hours of sleep, have time going on a walk? Like what describe for me what you think rest would look like for you.
It's like those simple things that I do in Hawaii that I can recreate here, but I've never even considered it before.
Yeah, I love that because for you, really, the neural association is that those things can only happen in Hawaii.
That is exactly right. I didn't know we were going to have therapy today, Greg.
Well, this is all good. It's good, isn't it? Though it's good. It's positive. Thank you for being open and vulnerable too, because it's in service to all of us, and I see it as maybe positive therapy, if we're going to use that term, because this is so real for so many people right now. The phrase I would use for this is something called protect the asset. Right, that's the language. Protect the asset, and your primary asset. I've already kind of been led the case for this, but your primary asset is your ability to prioritize. That ability to discern and focus what really matters most. That is the highest priority out of many other competing activities, and that's why we rest. That's why we need to. I mean, I can list a few other things that are helpful to me. That's why I journal. If I'm starting to feel crazy, I want to journal for a while. Just get it all out of my head, especially write what I'm grateful for, because it starts to help you see, I'm not behind. Look at all these good things. Look at all these assets. But there are lots of things we do so that we can protect the asset of discernment, of prioritization, so that you don't get burned out and make worse decisions over time. that pull you down into the cycle. Okay, but we're not finished with this. So let's. I want to get just one level more concrete with you. How much time would you want to be devoting to this rest per day or per week, whatever, right? Like, give me what's a realistic thing that you would go, look, it's not perfect, but I would genuinely feel I was making good progress if I'd done this.
Probably stopping work earlier in the day.
So that's one key thing. 4 p.m. shut off. Would that be sufficient? Would you go, oh, that would be enough, I would then be resting? Or would you just be, hey, I'm spending more time with family, but actually I'm still getting burned up? What's your thoughts?
I also really want to walk.
Would you want to do it in the morning like you do in Hawaii?
I feel like I would love to walk in the middle of the day, like on my lunch break.
For how long?
Half an hour.
Okay, for half an hour. And then I will shut off and not get it again until when?
Until 7 a.m. when I grab my phone to go run or go work out.
So I feel like this is a sufficient behavioral change to try and build into your routine right now. We could layer on more, but I think we don't want the relaxation, the rest stuff to feel overwhelming. And I mean, even these two might be a bit much to just do all of a sudden, but let's just proceed with it. So let's just skip to just execution for a second here. What would make it easy to make the changes you just described?
Honestly, it's as simple as telling my assistant, who schedules it into my calendar.
What you just said to me is, I am actually beginning to burn out. And so I need to make these changes because I can feel I'm burning out. That's what you said. But now I'm going to push you one more time. Why does that matter?
Because I have to be able to take care of my team. Because
go beyond it. What you said something there. You said it's my life's purpose. What you just said is, this is what I came here to do.
Yeah.
This is my mission, my unique mission. So Absolutely. It's no joking matter. It's no peripheral thing. It's like, it's what I came here to do. It is an important component of what I uniquely came here to contribute in my life. And so, is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I just want to tie that back now to the behavioral change you're wanting to make. And this conversation with Allie, either literal conversation or even just metaphorically now, just thinking about trying to express it to her or others. The reason I need to go for a walk at 12:30 for half an hour, and the reason that I need to shut off my phone and computer at 4 o'clock each night is because if I don't, I will fail in fulfilling my unique mission in life.
Yeah.
Does that sound, is that an exaggeration, or does it feel resonant?
No, that's absolutely real.
30 years later, all of a sudden I wake up at 3:15 in the morning and I just say, I've got to write a book on the laws of growth. I've been doing this and I'm not teaching people how to do it. And there are basic laws that if you just apply, you start growing. And I put my robe on and I went down to my home office and I started writing down what I thought would be these laws of growth. And by noon, oh my gosh, 8-9 hours later, by noon, I had the laws of growth outline already done.
Wow.
And then I wrote the book. And now, I don't know, but 1 million people later, they've read that book or whatever now, maybe more. But they continually come back and say, John, that book changed my life because now I know how to personally develop myself. And one more thought. The way you develop growth capacity is by growing. It's just like going to the gym with muscles and physical fitness. And so I'm 71 today, Rachel, and my capacity to grow is ridiculously off the charts, or to use your phrase, it's stinking great. It really is. It's just, it's off the charts. And I'm 71. I'm thinking I should not be as excited as I am at this age. I ought to be somehow, kind of on the downturn, or kind of, just taking a little bit. And I'm not. I'm just so excited, and my companies are doing better, and I'm getting more ideas, and it's all because I've developed tremendous growth capacity. And so every day I'm able to apply what I'm learning and pass it on to others and be a benefit, hopefully a blessing and value to other people. And so growth, personal growth and development has to be intentional, but I can tell you it is the greatest payoff you will have tomorrow is that you intentionally grow today. Everything worthwhile is uphill. Everything. I mean, if those listening to us today have a great relationship with their spouse or with their children, it's because they worked on that relationship. It didn't come easy. There were all kind of adjustments, changes, compromises that had to happen. Everything worthwhile. Relationships, if you're building a business, and you're an entrepreneur and you're starting off trying to work a career, it's uphill all the way. So when people say, what have you got a secret to your success? I say, yes, it's perseverance, it's hard work, it's consistency. It's uphill, and it's not uphill part of the way, Rachel. It's uphill all the way. So here's what happens. A long time ago, I realized there's a difference between people who win and people who don't win. And in my kind of caustic, sarcastic days, younger, I used to call them the difference between a winner and a whiner. You see, a whiner wants to feel good before they do something. And a winner wants to do something so they can feel good.
Ooh, yes.
And there's a world of difference between those two kinds of people. And if I'm waiting for, something to just kind of motivate me or something to kind of like pick me up before I go do what I need to do, I'll never do it. It's an issue of if I do the right thing, I get the right response. If I do the wrong thing, I get the wrong response. And so when it comes to your growth and to your development, there's a, because we're people of faith, there's a little scripture verse I take out of context all the time. And that is when I'm going through one of those difficult times and it's not easy and things aren't going my way. And I know that I'm in the game and I know that I'm on the right track, but it's just, it doesn't seem like I'm making any advancement. I use that little phrase, again, totally out of context, and that is, this too shall pass. This will pass. It'll pass.
Yeah.
This is not a good day for me. It's a rough day. I'm in some basic training here. I'm learning from some mistakes. I've taken a couple steps, but this too will pass. It'll pass. Stay on track. Stay consistency, because consistency compounds, Rachel. It compounds. Yes. And when we consistently do the right thing, we someday reap some major, major reward for it. But it doesn't compound in the first week or the first month. And that's why people having the ability to stay in the game and stay with it are the ones who come out of the game as the big winners. And I know that's what you've done in your life, and I know that's what you want to for all of your friends, all the people that you write to and minister to and love and care about and do these podcasts with. That's what you want for them, and I know that's what I love about you, Rachel. You always put your people first. I love that about you. I was getting ready to speak for a company, and we do pre-calls, and they told me that their theme was fast forward. And they asked me, they said, John, what's fast forward mean to you? And I said, well, fast means faster, and forward means shorter. And I went on to explain to them that in the pace that we live with social media and all the change that happens so quickly, it's never going to slow down. For the person who says, boy, I'm waiting for things to slow down so I can kind of make this decision, I look at them and I say, good luck. The only time they're going to slow down is when you're dead. Okay, so speed so fast is faster, but forward is shorter. And what I mean by that is, when I started off as a leader, I could have a 10-year, long-range plan, a 5-year mid-range plan, and a 2-year short-range plan. Well, you couldn't have that today, gosh. A 2-year, what used to be a short-range plan when I started off as a leader, is now at best a long-range plan, and that's probably about a year too long. And so forward is getting condensed. So forward's shorter and fast is faster. And all of a sudden it hit me that if I'm going to help people go to the next leadership phase of their life, they're going to have to be agile. They're going to have to be adaptive. They're going to have to be quick to make changes, quick to make shifts in their life. When I started off as a leader, Rachel, if you saw more than others saw, you saw the big picture, you got to be the leader. You had the vision. Today, more has been replaced with before. And leaders today, they've got to see before others see, because the person that gets started first is the one that's going to win the race. I was having lunch with Gail Devers, who is the greatest female athlete, I think, in Olympic history for America. I think she won medals in 3 different Olympics, and she was getting ready with time trials to get into her 4th Olympic, and she was literally running races against girls that were young enough to be her daughter. And we were having a terrific dinner one night, and I told her at the end of dinner, I said, Gail, I've been thinking about this all evening. I think that if you and I ran a 100-yard race, I said, I think I could win. And she looked at me. She was with her husband. She looked at her husband and she said, did you hear this? And I could tell that I had put her in a total state of disbelief. And then, of course, she looks at my Pillsbury dough body and she's going, oh, my gosh, this guy thinks he can win a race with me. And she's about ready to take off her high heels and go out in front of the restaurant and run a block with me. And then I said, Gail, I know I could win a 100-yard race with you if you gave me an 80-yard head start. And she did what you did. She starts laughing. Well, of course, 80 yards head start. Now, Rachel, to be honest with you, I wanted to say 70 yards. I really did. I thought, but the more I thought about 70 yards, I thought I'm not sure I could win that one. I'm not sure. She may be able to beat me if I only have 30 and she's got 100. But I think if I get an 80-yard head start, I'm going to. And here's the whole point. Very simple point. It's not how fast you are. It's when you get started that determines if you win the race. Mm-hmm. And it's very simple. Leadership is all about getting started before others get started. If you see before others see, it is a distinct advantage. Now, what kind of shifts do you need to make? What kind of changes do you need to make? How agile do you need to be to get in front of the game so that you can win that game? And so what I did in the book is I talk about 11 shifts that I've had to make in my leadership life. And here's why. People, especially when they're starting off in their leadership, changes kind of throw them, and they go, oh my gosh, I'm not sure what happened there, and I've got to adapt here. And what I've discovered about mentoring people is that if I can go before them and just kind of let them see how the road lays out, that when they come up to a time when they need to make a shift or a change in their leadership, it doesn't throw them because they say, well, John said this was coming. He told me that I was going to have this curve right here. He told me that there was going to be this dip in the road. And so basically leadership is all about, if you lead people, if you want to see before others see, and if you want to get started in the game first, let me just tell you about 11 shifts that you'll probably make sometime in your life. Not all of them now, but some of them right now. I promise you, every listener, when they begin to read this book, they'll find, 3, probably 4 shifts that they need to make right now. And what happens is the book gives you permission to make the shift. What happens is sometimes we hold up against change and we resist it a little bit because we aren't sure that that's really the way we should go unless we have somebody who's been there, done that, and been experienced with it saying, no, this is good. You want to come this way. I'm kind of being the John the Baptist. I'm going before you. This is a good turn. This is a good change for you. And so the book really helps, especially I think young leaders, understand the big picture of leadership, which means that we're constantly shifting because opportunity comes to us in the moment. And my mentor, John Wooden, used to say, John, when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. Leadership is all about preparing you for when the opportunity comes that you can make that turn, that change, that shift in your life.
The Rachel Hollis Podcast is produced by me, Rachel Hollis. It's edited by Andrew Weller and Jack Noble.
From Disney, on March 21st, the musical movie event of the year arrives in theaters.
My name is Snow White. Flawless. Exquisite.
Get tickets now. Snow White will have you on your feet.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
And cheering for more.
I was thinking the same thing.
Experience the magical story.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest one of all?
Snow White.
Disney's Snow White. Only in theaters March 21st. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Tickets on sale now.
Don't miss Grand Slam deals going on now at Academy Sports and Outdoors from March 3rd to March 16th. If you are a sports mom like I am, this is the time of year to get the deals. Get up to 50% off bats, gloves, and training gear from brands like Rawlings, Easton, Wilson, Marucci, Louisville Slugger, and more. Need it fast? Choose same-day delivery powered by DoorDash. Order by 4 p.m., get it by 8 p.m. Shop your local Academy store or academy.com.